I am a librarian here at Cal State Fullerton. My title is Digital Scholarship Librarian. As the Digital Scholarship Librarian, I do a lot of digital humanities instruction, mainly partnering. Well, I partner with faculty and students from throughout the university, but most heavily with departments in the humanities.
How about GIS? Like, what brought you to the certificate program?
Well, I have always been a big-time map nerd. I love historical maps and use them in my research all the time and teach how to find them and how to use them, how to analyze them. And then when digital maps came available, of course, gravitated towards that. I use them daily. A lot of us do, right? Using Waze, Apple Maps, Google Maps. But I also, I think ever since Google Maps and Earth first came available, I've been building digital maps myself. And I work heavily with all versions of Google Earth, because there's 3 different versions of it, and teaching how to build different types of digital maps, primarily from historical data, how to visualize it, how to analyze it. And I always wanted to learn more formal GIS.
Right.
I love GIS applications when I see those and what you can do with more formal GIS tools and a skill set.
Right.
And so I've known about the program through Extended Ed for many years. I've taken some other courses through Extended Ed, and for probably about 4 years, I was one of the faculty representatives on the Academic Senate Committee for University Extended Ed, so just very familiar with it. I just decided about a year ago to look into the GIS certificate program more and make the time for it. For my work here as the Digital Scholarship Librarian.
Right.
And so I decided to go after the GIS program. It being fully online, that modality works. It's really flexible for my schedule, and I liked the short classes and series of classes. So it was just time. I decided to take it, and it was a great experience.
I guess what I wanted to ask next was, did you have any expectations going into this certificate, and did they change over the course and by the time you finished?
No, the program description and the individual course descriptions on Extended Ed's website were very clear about the scope of each course, the books, the software we'd be using. So those gave me, they managed my expectations well. I didn't really, my only other expectation was I hoped I would really enjoy it in addition to learning it. And I did expect to learn quite a bit. Understanding that we would have a capstone project at the end, it's very applied learning. And so I expected that the program would set us up to be successful in completing that capstone project.
And with all of the knowledge and skills that you gained, how have you been able to apply it to your profession?
Like I said, I've been working with a lot of different types of digital mapping platforms, including pulling in GIS data, like pulling in open access data sets from government websites, from universities that provide them, into things like Google Earth Pro. I was already doing a lot of digital place-based storytelling instruction, working with classes, even working individually with students on, say, senior projects or MA projects, where they wanted to build digital multimedia stories that involved mapping. So I had that background, but definitely right off the bat in the very first course was I started learning for the concepts more formally.
Right.
For cartography and for GIS, the vocabulary. So being able to how to correctly refer to something versus my own name for it.
Right.
Like these are layers in a map. We're building layers. What are layers? Being able to explain and demonstrate different types of geospatial data and help students understand that is, okay, this is vector data, this is raster data, and then we're also going to work with attribute data. So much of project-based instruction that we do in the digital humanities and broader digital scholarship, it's not just teaching a tool, because many of us, not everyone's comfortable learning that way, but many of us can look up a video on YouTube and learn it, or read some blog posts. But the type of instruction that I do also focuses on helping students and my colleagues understand things like data. What is data? What kind of data might we pull into these kinds of projects? How do we find it? How do we download it, install it, clean it? And then once we have it in there, how do we present it? And so really by the end of the first course in the program, I had already had that understanding of those concepts and workflows, and was able to start speaking official cartography and
right.
GIS right away in all areas of my teaching. And then that progressed through the program as I started learning about different types of geospatial analytical methods. And here's a problem. How might we use GIS to research that problem and perhaps to solve and address that problem?
Right. And about your final project, what inspired it and how was that process?
From day one of the first course was reminders that you need to be keeping your eyes open and thinking about what your digital project's going to be. You can't wait until the last course in the program, and certainly not right before the deadlines. And because of my work as a professional genealogist and a historian, I wanted to work with a historical GIS project. That's really my main area of interest in digital mapping, and GIS is what's called historical GIS.
Right.
Using these tools, using historical sources to develop projects in these tools, and then use them to be able to research different problems or themes from histories. But a couple of years ago, I started collaborating heavily, teaching ArcGIS story maps with a criminal justice professor. That was a completely new field for me. And so I went out and found examples of how criminal justice professionals are using ArcGIS story maps.
So you mentioned working with criminal justice classes and how GIS is involved in that. University Extension has a crime intelligence analysis certificate. So how would someone taking that certificate benefit from this GIS certificate?
The work that I've been doing with criminal justice students has been building digital stories. So that's been with ArcGIS story maps, which is one tool in the larger ArcGIS toolbox. ArcGIS Pro is another tool. That's the software that you install on your computer and that we use in the certificate program. And from the research I did when I started collaborating with that professor to be able to show examples to the students, this is how professionals in your field are using these tools, really helped me understand better how valuable
Right.
GIS skill sets are to people working in the criminal justice field. I'm not going to use the right word, every group aspect in that, whether it's police, whether it's fire responders, etc., they have to use GIS. And many of our assignments in the certificate program involved criminal justice applications. So being able to map and then analyze where different types of crimes were committed, speeding, identifying, that's a common one, on where are the most violations happening in a city for speeding, to make decisions on, do we need to put in a red light there or something. And, I had a vague knowledge of how the two mesh beforehand, but definitely through those assignments and then working with these criminal justice classes for 2 years, I think that's a highly valuable skill set. And so, yes, anyone in the crime analysis certificate program that wants to boost their skill set and advancement opportunities and marketability in going after those jobs is, I think the GIS program would be a really valuable complement to that.
Would you say is the right advice? Like when you're doing this certificate, when you're trying to apply this information to their careers, what do you think will really keep them interested or curious, I should say?
Anyone else who wants to learn this that doesn't need to earn academic credit for it that's who I recommend go through the certificate program, through extended ed. Even if they want to just take one course at first and see if it's for them, I thought the program was very good. I thought the assignments were good. The textbooks were very easy to follow. I still go back to them all the time to look things up, but the learning lessons and progression of courses and then assignments, they were all very applied. And like I said, if you did all of that, it didn't make the final project easy, but it made it very doable and easier.
That was really great information. It's a great foundation. Thank you so much for speaking with us today.